Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. We've got two different hearings today. The first will be a variance special exception hearing. There's one matter on that agenda, and then the next will be the code enforcement. So if you are here for code enforcement, you're in the right place, but you're going to hear the variance issue first. So with that, welcome to the City of Madeira Beach Variance Special Exception Use Special Magistrate Hearing. My name is Bart Valdez, and I'm the appointed special magistrate to hear today's cases. I'm a practicing attorney and have been a member of the Florida Bar for over 20 years. I've been appointed to this position in accordance and with the authority set forth under Florida law and the City of Marathon Beach Code of Ordinances.
Madeira.
It is my role to fairly and objectively review the matters presented today in these variance requests. As such, I would like to advise you of certain matters related to today's proceedings. Today's matters will be heard in the order that they appear on the agenda. At this time, I have read and reviewed the applications with all attachments, any written submissions by anyone having an interest, any timely submitted written objections, and the written materials provided by the city staff. In all cases, the hearing will be conducted in the following order. We will confirm that proper notice has been given. The city will present its case in the staff report, and the applicant may ask questions of the city's representative. The applicant will present his or her case supported by witnesses and evidence, and the city may cross-examine each witness. Then public comment will be solicited or received from parties directly affected by the variance. Individuals testifying do not have the right to cross-examine the parties. All public comment shall be limited to 3 minutes per person unless waived by the city. Public participation will then be closed. I will deliberate and then make a decision to grant or deny the variance requested in the application. Formal rules of evidence do not apply to this proceeding. However, I will exert every effort to ensure that fundamental fairness is afforded to all parties. After my decision today, I will issue an order. The order will be reduced to writing, and you will be provided with a copy by mail. Therefore, if you're the applicant, please make sure that we have your current address. Additionally, you are advised that I do not have the authority to grant you a building permit. You must still obtain a building permit for any work you intend to do on your property. If you wish to present any information to me today, it is necessary that you swear or affirm that you will tell the truth. Therefore, at this time, the city attorney will administer the oath and swear in any witnesses. If any of you, including members of the public, wish to talk to me today during this hearing on the variances, then you need to rise and be sworn. Again, this includes any members of the public who are directly affected by the variance and may wish to provide public comment.
Anyone that's going to speak, if you could stand up, raise your right hand and be sworn under oath. Mr. Carnes, are you going to testify today?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, the first matter on today's agenda is VAR 2022-02 for the property located at 306 129th Avenue East. Is the city ready to proceed?
Yes, we are.
Go ahead, Mr. Trask.
We have one witness today, Jenny Rowan. Jenny, you've been sworn under oath. If you could state your occupation here at the city and your job responsibilities.
I am the senior planner for the city of Madeira Beach. I've been here a little over 2 years.
Okay. Are you familiar with this particular variance application?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Would you like to go ahead and present your staff report?
Yes.
Thank you.
My staff report begins on page 37 of the packet. The request is a variance to reduce the front yard setback from 25 feet to 18 feet to allow for a new structure. The setback requirements in the R3 zoning district is in section 110-232, subsection 1, front yard, B, multifamily, tourist, and restaurant is 25 feet. On August 17, 2020, the special magistrate granted a variance to reduce the front setback from 25 feet to 18 feet at 306 129th Avenue East. That was variance 2020-02. The variance was never acted upon and therefore void after 1 year. There was a 10-unit apartment building on the property that was substantially damaged by Hurricane Irma in September 2017. The structure was declared a total loss and appraised with no value. The structure could not be restored to the FEMA 50% regulation. The plan, which is the same plan brought before for this application, meets the criteria except for the front setback. The original apartment building, which has been demolished since the original variance due to safety issues, had a front setback of 18 feet from the right-of-way. Section 110-96 sets regulations for rebuilding after a catastrophic loss. Catastrophically damaged buildings are allowed to replace with the same density, height, and side setbacks, but must follow the current floodplain regulations. Now I'll go through the variance criteria and the staff's finding. So criteria 1, special conditions and circumstances exist which are particular to the land, building, or other structures for which a variance is sought and which do not generally to the lands, building, or other structures in the same district. Special conditions to be considered shall include but are not limited to the following circumstances. And this application meets 3 of those circumstances. A, a substandard or irregular shaped lot. If the site involves the utilization of an existing lot that has a unique physical circumstance or conditions, including irregularity of shape, narrowness, shallowness, or the size of the lot is less than the minimum required in the district regulations. Staff finding, the lot is pie-shaped and irregular. The previous building did not meet the front or side setbacks under the current standards, and through rebuilding, the new building will become more into compliance. The new building cannot meet the current setbacks and height restrictions while still replacing its size and density. They also meet C, residential neighborhood character. If the proposed project promotes the established historic or traditional development pattern of a block face, including setbacks, building height, and other dimensional requirements. Staff findings for C, the proposed variance would be compatible with the neighborhood character of the area, which is more of a traditional development pattern in the Johns Pass area. And E, architectural and/or engineering considerations. If the proposed project utilizes architectural and/or engineering features that would render the project more disaster resistant. Staff's finding for E, the original structure was a catastrophic loss. The new structure must be compliant with the floodplain regulations, fire codes, and building codes. Criteria 2, the special conditions and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant. A self-created hardship shall not justify a variance. Staff's findings, the hardship results from the shape of the lot and the catastrophic loss due to Hurricane Irma. Criteria 3, granting the variance will not confer on the applicant any special privileges denied to other lands, buildings, or structures in the same zoning district. Staff finding, multifamily is an allowed use in the R3 zoning district, and the new building plans are compatible with new structures in the area. The variance would not allow for a use denied to other properties. Criteria 4, literal interpretation would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same zoning district under the terms of the land development regulations, subpart B of this code, and would work unnecessary to undo hardships on the applicant. Staff's findings, other surrounding properties are developed with the similar setbacks. Criteria 5, the variance granted is the minimum variance that would make possible the reasonable use of the land. Staff's findings, this setback is used to allow compliance with other standards and assurances. Criteria 6, the granting of the variance will be in harmony with the general intent and purpose of the city land development regulations, and that such variance will not be injurious to the area involved or otherwise detrimental to the public welfare. Staff's findings, the variance is in harmony with the general intent and purpose of the land development regulations and will not negatively affect the character of the neighborhood. And staff recommends approval of variance 2022-02 to reduce the front setback from 25 feet to 18 feet for the property located at 306 129th Avenue East, based on the findings and that the applicant meets the intent and criteria for variance as stated and the fact that the variance was granted in 2020. Thank
Ms.
you.
Rowan, I have a couple of additional questions for you.
Yes.
In completing your staff report, did you review the application that is also part of the packet that the special magistrate has from pages 3 through 36?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And the notices that were sent with regard to the variance, was there a notice sent?
Yes, there was, and that is on page 40 and 50 of the
Okay.
packet.
And the notice was sent where?
The notice was mailed to all property owners within 300 feet, and we also posted the property, City Hall, the library, and it is online.
And the people that were located within 300 feet of the property that is subject to this variance application, how did you determine that?
We determined that using the Pinellas County Property Appraiser's website.
Okay, if you could then tell me whether or not you recognize pages 42 through 44 as being that list.
Yes, that is that list.
Okay. And page 45 reflects, it's titled Affidavit of Mailing. Can you explain what that is?
This is the affidavit that we did mail out to all of these property owners on the 15th day of July.
Okay, and then the Affidavit of Posting, which is on page 46, what is that used for?
This affidavit of posting shows that we posted City Hall, the library, and the property, and the our website on the 15th of July.
Okay, and then if you could take a look at the photographs that are pages 47 through 50 and explain what those are.
On page 47 is the posting at City Hall. Page 48 is the posting at the library. And pages 49 and 50 are the postings on the property.
Okay, so the only difference then in this application and the prior application for variance, which was granted, is the fact that the structure has now been demolished, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. All right, and you're asking for the special magistrate to receive into evidence pages 3 through 50 of the packet, which includes the application and those documents that you've already testified to?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so we'd move into evidence pages 3 through 50 as City's Exhibit A, or 1, whichever is preferable.
All right, we'll go ahead and accept, I will accept as exhibit number 1, pages 3 through 50 of the agenda packet.
And I have no further questions of Ms. Rowan at this point.
Ms. Rowan, I just want to make sure there's no, I didn't see any conditions, right? It's just granting, staff recommendation is just to grant the application with no conditions, correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. Is the applicant, the person seeking the variance, here today? Hello, sir, what is your name?
My name is Jack Boziak. I'm the architect, and I'm the agent for the owners in this case.
All right, hold on, sir.
Yep.
Spell your last name for me, please.
B-O-D-Z as in zebra, I-A-K.
All right. Mr. Bodizak, I'm going to give you a chance in a few minutes to tell me anything you want to tell me. You heard Ms. Rowan just provide her testimony. Obviously, she's recommending that I approve what you have done. You do have the right, however, to ask her questions, to cross-examine her about her testimony. Are there any questions you'd like to ask for her? And again, I'm going to give you a chance to come back up and tell me anything you want to tell me, but do you have any questions for her?
No, I do not.
All right.
I'm in pretty regular communication with the city, so.
Perfect. You can stay right there at the podium if you want. I don't know if Mr. Trask has anyone else he wants to call.
No other witnesses on this application. Thank
All
you.
right. All right, sir, I understand you're going to be speaking for the applicant on that, on this
Yes,
variance.
yes.
Anything else you want to tell me or share with me?
Well, I mean, it's pretty, it is, the facts as represented by the city and by Jen Rowan are, in fact, pretty much what has occurred. There were some delays experienced in the submittal of the plans, which has occurred pretty commonly in the last 2 years with supply chain and issues of getting plans done and all that. They went through a second civil engineer before they really got everything in. So it was really a very tight site to work on, and it required a lot of really special thought process, and it was redesigned a couple times as we got to the point that we are at with the current submittal. I think the project is a very good representation of what can go on the site. As you know, with a pie shape like this, just moving it 8 feet forward would greatly limit the ability to build within the code any kind of a really feasible unit to either market or rent or whatever. So I think that the request is not an unusually difficult one. I think that the condition does exist in other locations in and around this area, and I think that it's a reasonable request, and having been granted before, we would appreciate it if we could essentially get this granted again so that we could proceed with the project as planned.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Trash, do you have any questions of the representative of the applicant?
No questions.
All right, sir, is there anything else or any other witnesses you would like to call at this time?
No, actually, I don't think it's necessary. I think the staff's covered it pretty thoroughly, and I think that it's been before the magistrate before, and I believe it's an accurate representation of the facts surrounding our being here today.
All right, thank you, sir. You can have a seat.
Thank you.
All right, at this point in the proceeding, this is where we will solicit or receive public comment from anyone who is directly affected by the variance. So are there any members of the public that would like to come up and provide comment? All right, sir, come on up, and the first thing I need you to do is give me your name and address.
Guy Critelli at 207 Boardwalk Place.
And I understood the first Guy is your first
Guy,
name?
yes, G-U-I.
And your last name? Can you spell it for me?
C-R-I-T-E-L-L-I, Critelli, 207 Boardwalk Place.
Okay,
Yeah, I like the building. They built on a beautiful building, and it's an eyesore what's this now and what it was before. And I'm here to tell you that I went for variance 3 times on my house on Pelican Lane on the same route tree and all that. I went in front of Magistrate and the city commission and all that stuff. They denied me 3 times. I went through all different for my stairs. To build the stairs, they denied 3 times. What it costed me, you know that you have to go through all the time, a month and a half, and 2 months at a time. My construction delay, 4 months per house day, they deny. It's fine. Give them whatever they want. It's my neighbor, is Bill. I know Bill, but he don't, he's a nice guy throughout the city of Madeira Beach. It's going to be my neighbor now. But, we got to do, what do? We got to be honest to all of us. If we do something, we do it as the law requests. If the law says one thing and we change that, they should give me some type of yes to those days that make me put a 3 application for my stairs on my house, which was wrong, what they did, and what do we do if we do a variance today. The other thing too, they put a restaurant. Why restaurant on a residential? There's a restaurant right here. I mean, they just read there'd be a restaurant on there. Is there a restaurant on there? It says no, but yeah, I heard restaurant. It's over here on the application, on the bottom right there. Is that true? No. No? You say no, but I thought I heard restaurant early, what they will read on it. When they show the print on the board there, it says multiple family and restaurant. It's right here, black and white. I have the paper.
Oh, sir, the only thing I'm here to grant a
Yes, sir.
variance on is the
I know.
front setback. That's the
Yeah, but
only-
when you
Not a use, not a special use, just so you're aware. So I'm not
Yeah.
approving any restaurant or anything like that.
I
The only
understand.
thing I'm being asked to know is, can they build into the front setback?
Okay. So if you approve that, probably approve to increase for the restaurant, increase the land for the restaurant. That's what I'm asking. So
Okay.
it's fine. I mean, I hope they build it right away for me. This way I can see beautiful building there and they beautify the area. And I wish them the best. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public that would like to provide comment? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public comment period. Is there anything else that the city would like to present before we close out this hearing and I make my ruling?
I would just like to clarify the restaurant aspect. So I'd like to recall Ms. Rowan to answer the resident's question. Is there going to be a restaurant on this property?
No, and I think what he is referring to is if you look at page 40 of the packet, the specific code provisions, that's in general R3. It's just saying that the front yard setback for a multifamily building, for a tourist building, or for restaurants is 25 feet.
In other words, it's just a recitation of the code, but with this application, there is not going to be a restaurant.
Correct.
Okay. That's the only question I wanted. I hope we answered the resident's question, so, okay.
Mr. Bodziak, you have the right to cross-examine Ms. Rowan on what Mr. Trask. Do you have any questions? All right. The record will reflect you have no questions. All right. Anything else from the city, Mr. Trask?
No, sir.
All right. Based upon the documents submitted and the testimony of Ms. Rowan and Mr. Bodziak and even the public comment, I find that the application meets all the criteria for the variance. I will go ahead and grant the variance and submit and or provide an actual order to everyone in the next few days. All right. I think that's it for the variance. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Okay, we're now going to turn to the code enforcement portion of the hearing. Welcome to the City of Madeira Beach Code Enforcement Hearing. Again, my name is Bart Valdez, and I'm the appointed special magistrate to hear today's cases. I'm a practicing attorney and have been a member of the Florida Bar for over 20 years. I have been appointed to this position in accordance and with the authority set forth in Chapter 162 Florida statutes. It is my role to fairly and objectively review the matters presented. As such, I would like to advise you of certain matters related to today's proceedings. Today's matters will be heard in the order that they appear on the agenda. Every effort will be made to hear all persons having relevant evidence, argument, or comments to offer related to the specific case that is being heard. If you wish to speak today, it is necessary that you be sworn in by the city attorney. In all cases, since the city has the burden of proof, the city will present its case first. The respondent or property owner then will be given the opportunity to refute the city's allegations. Formal rules of evidence do not apply to this proceeding. However, I will exert every effort to ensure that fundamental fairness is afforded to all parties. After hearing all relevant evidence, I will issue an order. The order will be reduced to writing, and you'll be provided with a copy by mail. Therefore, please make sure that we have your current address. Additionally, you are advised that I do not have the authority during this hearing to grant you a variance, permit, or special exception of any kind. My role is solely to determine whether a city code has been violated and to provide you a reasonable time to correct the violation by whatever means is available to you. Please be advised that you may be subject to a fine, and a lien may be recorded on your property if the violation is not corrected by the compliance deadline. If you wish to present any information to me today and you've not already been sworn, then please rise in just a couple minutes and the city attorney will swear you in. So, Mr. Trask, you want to just swear everybody in one more time?
Yes. Anyone that wasn't already sworn in, if you could stand up, raise your right hand, and be sworn under oath. You've already been sworn in, sir. You swear the testimony you're about to give is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay, thank you.
First case I have on the agenda is case number CE 22-2022 for the property located at 495 South Bayshore Drive. Is the city ready to proceed?
We are, thank you.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to call Deputy Moran. Deputy, this particular property is located at 495 South Bayshore Drive. Is this case coming before the special magistrate as a proactive enforcement case, or was it reactive?
It was reactive.
Okay, and can you tell me what you received to bring this property to your attention?
Yes, I received a complaint via the city's GoGov website citing the condition of the dock, and the complainant requested that the city follow up for repairs to bring it into compliance.
Okay, and did you go out to the property?
I did.
Okay, and the property that we're talking about again is 495 South Bayshore Drive here in Madeira Beach. Who's the owner of that property, and how do you know that?
The owner is Mr. Steve Johnson, and I know that from the property appraiser records.
Okay. Do you have a copy of the packet? If not, we'll share it right here. Okay. So I'm going to show you what has been marked as page 51. Do you recognize this as the property appraiser's printout showing the address?
That's correct.
Okay, and it follows through to page 53. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and now we're on page 54. Can you tell me what that document reflects?
That is the Pinellas County tax collector record showing Mr. Johnson as the owner of 495 South Bay Shore.
Okay, when you went out to the property, can you tell us what date that you first appeared on the property?
I originally went out to the property on April 25th, 2022 at 11 a.m. and noted the violation.
Okay, and what was the violation that you found at that time?
The dock and deck were in a state of disrepair. There were boards falling off, boards missing, sections of broken frame. It posed a safety hazard in its condition.
Okay, and what code section was being violated?
Well, in this case, it was the general maintenance code.
All right, I'm going to bring your attention to page 56 through 58 of the packet here. And does that courtesy notice provide what code section that actually is?
That is correct. The specific number is 14-70.
Okay. In this document, I'm referring to 56 through 58. Can you tell me what that is?
It is a courtesy letter that was mailed to the property owner also on 425, advising him of the requirements of the code and giving him suggestions on how to bring it into compliance.
Okay, and did you give him a compliance date as to when he should get the property into compliance?
I did.
And what was that date?
It was May 5th, 2022.
In that courtesy notice, did you also provide a photograph of the dock in question?
I did.
And is that on page 58?
It is.
Did the property come into compliance by May the 5th?
It did not.
Okay, did you issue a notice of violation then?
Well, I went out and re-inspected the property again on the 17th, and the notice of violation also went out on the 17th.
All right, I'm going to take a look at pages 59 through 62 and see if you recognize that as the notice of violation that you sent.
That is correct.
In the notice of violation, did you set another compliance date?
That's correct. It was May 24th.
Okay, and did the property come into compliance by that date?
It did not.
All right. Did you go out and inspect the property again as of that date?
After the notice of violation, my next inspection was June 2nd.
Okay. And was the property in compliance by June 2nd?
It was not.
Did you issue a special magistrate statement of violation or request for hearing?
I did further down the road.
Okay. What happened in between the issuance of the notice of violation and the statement of violation?
I had several telephone contacts with the property owner. He did reach out after receiving the notice of violation. He was given ample time to make corrections. He explained to me that he was searching for a contractor, that he had narrowed it down to a couple of them, and that he would make that choice within a couple of days. I requested that he come in and file for a permit as a sign of good faith that he was handling the issue. He did not come in and get a permit, and he stopped taking my phone calls.
All right, so you did do that statement of violation request for hearing at that point then?
That's correct.
Okay, I want you to look at pages 63 through 65. Is this the statement of violation that you sent to the property owner?
That's correct.
Okay. Did you also send him a notice of hearing for today's hearing?
I did, and I posted it on the property.
Did you have any discussions with the property owner about the special magistrate hearing?
I have not been able to reach him.
Okay. So the notice of hearing then is on pages 66 through 69 of the packet?
That's correct.
Okay. And did you also do an affidavit of service reflecting how you actually mailed that notice of hearing for today's hearing?
That's correct.
And what did that notice or affidavit of service provide?
That the notice of hearing was both mailed in certified mail and regular mail, that the property was posted and the notice was posted here at City Hall.
And what date was that done?
The affidavit of service was done on 7/21 of 22 at 11:07 a.m.
Okay, and that's reflected in pages 70 and 71 of the packet?
That's correct.
Can you tell me what items are on pages 72 and 73 and 74?
They're copies of the certified mail that was mailed to the property owner, along with the copies of the certified return receipt and their respective numbers.
Okay. I know that there is another packet of information that has been provided along with this one, and I'm going to go over that. I've provided that to the special magistrate as well on the desk, but I need you to prove it up. So I want you to take a look at we're going to label as a continuation of the prior documentation, but we're going to do it based upon the numbers that you've placed on the photographs and so forth. But first of all, I want you to turn to page 6 of the photographs and tell me what page 6 of the photographs reflects.
So page 6 is a picture of the house as it faces the street, which is Bay Shore in this case, and the associated posting that was placed on the property for today's hearing.
And did you have some additional photographs, close-up photographs?
That's correct. I took a second photo showing the content of the posting.
And that is in page 7?
That's correct.
Okay. And page 8 reflects what?
Page 8 reflects the information after checking the tracking status of the certified mail from the United States Postal Service, showing that the certified mail sent to the property owner for today's hearing was not received. However, it was held at the post office at the property owner's request.
All right, we're going to turn back a little bit to get a clearer picture of the actual violation, and I want you to turn to starting at page 1 and go through the photographs, and if you can explain what these photographs depict. First of all, when did you take these photographs?
I took these photos at the end of last week.
Okay. So if you just start on page 1 and go through them, explain what is in each one of these photographs.
Sure. Page 1 is a depiction of the dock from the property address facing to the south. It is the deck going out to the dock, and it depicts the condition of the wood, the railing, some of the missing pieces of railing. That's continued on page 2, where there's, if you notice, there's a section of wood floating in the water that's partially attached to the deck that has fallen away.
Okay, keep going.
Page 3 is a close-up of the section of dock that is broken away and is still partially attached, floating in the water. Number 4 is a side view facing west from Island Drive, showing the condition of the dock with the warped and missing deteriorated boards. Picture 5 shows a section of the deck leading out to the dock, specifically where the boards meet, the frame is broken, and a portion of that frame has fallen down, making the structure unstable.
Okay, have you been to when was the last time you were at the property to see whether there was whether the property was in compliance or not?
I was by the property this morning.
Okay. Has it changed in any way?
It has not.
Okay. All right, at this point, I have no other questions for the deputy. I would like to submit into evidence pages 51 through 74 of the packet, as well as the additional photographs, which are labeled 1 through 8, to be received into evidence.
I'll go ahead and accept them into evidence. What I'll do is, just for purposes of ease of reference, we'll do as exhibit number 1, the pages 51 through 74, and then exhibit 2 will be pages 1 through 8.
All right, thank you.
Is anyone here on behalf of the owner of the property, the respondent? Anyone here? All right, I'll note for the record that the respondent is not present. Are there any members of the public that would like to provide comment in regard to this case CE 22-2022 for 495 South Bay Shore Drive? All right, seeing none, Mr. Trask, anything else? I don't think I got the compliance, what needs to be done to bring in compliance, and proposed fine if it's not brought into compliance. So if you would mind just putting that on the record.
Sure. It would be our position that the dock needs to come into compliance with section 14-70. It's not just the pulling of a permit. I think the deputy testified that if he would pull the permit to show a sign of good faith that he's working towards getting the dock replaced or repaired. So at this point, it's our belief that the dock needs to either be completely removed or repaired. In addition to, obviously, it's going to require a building permit to do that. We'd ask that you give the property owner 30 days to bring the property into compliance, or suffer a $100 a day fine for each day that the property remains to be in non-compliance.
All right, based upon the evidence provided to me, testimony and the documents, I find that the property owner and the property is in violation of the specific code provision. Therefore, the property owner will have 30 days to remove or repair the dock. If the property owner does not remove or repair the dock within 30 days, then a fine of $100 a day thereafter will accrue. All right, let's move on to case number 2022.3387 for the property located at 13227 2nd Street East. Is the city ready to go forward?
Yes, we are.
Go ahead, Mr. Trask.
Sir, are you here on this property? Okay, you are, good. So I would first call Laura Robbie to testify. Laura, you've been sworn under oath, haven't you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, first of all, if you can explain what your job responsibilities are here at the city, how long you've been working for the city?
I've been working for the city approximately 7 months, and I took over for Holden as code enforcement officer.
Okay. So is this property coming to the city as a proactive case, or was there a complaint was made on this property?
A complaint.
If you don't know the answer, just tell us you don't know the
A
answer.
complaint by Frank
Okay.
DeSantis.
Okay, the building official?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you know who owns the property?
Mr. Bernard Scott owns the property, I'm assuming?
Okay. Have you taken a look at the packet that's in front?
No, sir, I don't have any of that information.
Okay. All right, well, I think that what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the testimony, then we're going to just jump to, go ahead and Mr. DeSantis, so that we can handle that. I thought that Laura was going to be able to prove up a couple of the documents, so we'll let Mr. DeSantis do that.
All right, hold on, Mr.
Okay.
Trask. Did I understand that you're here on behalf of the property? Come on up, sir. Sir, what is your full name?
Daniel Lavender,
Daniel, how do you spell your last name?
Lavender.
Okay. Mr. Lavender, it was a very short bit of testimony from Ms. Roby, but would you like to ask her any questions just on what the few questions that she talked about? And you'll have a chance to ask all the witness questions, but is there any questions?
I'm not sure what question she answered, other than she doesn't know.
That's what I heard too, sir, but you have the right to ask her questions.
Yeah, no, we've never met or spoken.
Okay, have a seat, sir, and again, I'm going to give you this opportunity after each witness testifies to ask questions. Then after that, I'm going to give you an opportunity to tell me anything you want to tell me. Okay?
All right, I would call Mr. DeSantis at this time. Frank, you were sworn in earlier.
Yes,
You're familiar with this property located at 13227 2nd Street East?
yes.
Okay. Who's the property owner of this property?
According to the property appraiser, it's Scott Bernard,
Okay. How do you know that to be?
from the property appraisers.
Did you take a look at that? Do you have that in front of you, starting at page 75 of the packet?
I do now. Yes. Yes, I do.
Okay, and what does that reflect as the owner of the property?
Bernard Scott, LLC.
Okay. If you could turn the pages through the packet, so we're starting at page 75 and going through page 77, that's a property appraiser's record?
Yes,
Okay. Do you also have the tax collector record there reflecting who the property owner is?
yes, I do.
And that's at pages 78 through 80 of the packet?
Yes,
And does it reflect the same name, Bernard Scott LLC?
yes, it does.
Okay. What was the violation on this particular property?
The violation on this property was work being done without a permit.
Okay, and what was the work that was being done?
The work I observed was the garage, remodeling of the garage, and there was pavers up to the curb.
Okay. So what was the actual code citation violation? Failure to have a building permit?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's section 86-52 of the code?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you or someone on your staff provide a courtesy notice of violation to Bernard Scott LLC about this particular code violation?
Yes, I asked Laura to do that for me.
Okay. And is that reflected in pages 81 through 83 of the packet? Or actually 84 of the packet?
Yes.
Okay. If you could just go through those and explain what you see on page 81 and 82.
Page 81 is the courtesy notice itself to Bernard Scott, and reflecting section 8652, where a permit was required for work done on the property. And then jumping to page 82, the violation detail itself is a new paver walkway has been installed, and a former garage has been remodeled, including the new exterior siding and roofing, new doors, light fixtures, including new electrical wiring without the required building permit.
All right. And on page 83 of the packet, there's two photographs. Can you explain to the special magistrate which each of these photographs are?
Sure. The photograph on the right is a picture of the garage currently at that time. The picture on the left is partial garage and the pavers under the house to the curb.
Okay, and looking at the photograph, what can you tell us about the garage itself? What has been done that you can see from this photograph that was not permitted?
I could see that the roof was extended, a brand-new roof, and the roof was extended over the front, new columns in the front, new French doors, new electrical from the front, from this picture.
All right, and if you could turn to page 84 of the packet, it's a little bit closer photograph, that would reflect the same thing, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Once this courtesy notice was sent to the property owner, did the property owner contact you or someone on your staff to get the property into compliance?
I believe the property owner contacted Ms. Roby.
Okay. Did the property come into compliance within the time prescribed in the courtesy notice that was sent?
No.
Okay. Was there a notice of code violation that was eventually sent to the property owner?
Yes.
Okay, and is that reflected in pages 85 through 89 of the packet?
Yes.
I'm sorry, 88 of the packet?
88, yes.
And it was, the same code violations was cited in the notice of code violation?
Yes.
Did it provide a compliance date?
Follow-up, yes.
What was the compliance date?
Follow-up date was June 23rd.
Was it in
2022?
compliance as of that date?
No.
All right, these photographs that were attached are then on pages 87 to 88, the same photographs as the prior courtesy notice, correct?
Yes.
All right. So was this letter sent by regular mail and certified mail?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, well, there is a USPS tracking page on page 89. Is that to reflect that the notice was sent and delivered?
Yes.
Okay. Page 91, it looks like an email from Barbara Lavender to Jenny Rowan, and you were copied on that letter. Why is this included in the packet?
It was a correspondence between the property owner and Planning and Zoning, Jenny and Planning and Zoning. They copied myself and Ms. Roby on it also.
Okay. It's several pages long. It looks like it's an email chain that reflects some of the history of this particular property, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, if you could turn to page 94, and there's a bunch of photographs. If you could start on page 94 and go through them, explain what these photographs depict.
Sure. When I was on site taking these photographs, this is the back of the garage with the new electrical panel and electrical service, as you can see above the concrete, which is against code violation, but also you can see the mechanical preparation for a mechanical unit, an air handler unit to be installed on the backside.
What are you referring to, that black piping?
Yes, that black piping coming out is for the condensate unit.
So that's for purposes of adding an AC unit that just hasn't been put there yet?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, if you can continue on explaining the photographs.
Sure. The next photograph is a picture of the electrical panel itself. And the next picture after that on 95 is the electrical conduit, which is against code, sitting on top of the concrete instead of being buried, heading towards the primary structure of the house. That's where the power is coming from. And on page 96, the picture is the side of the building with the new units, or new windows, and the new front door, and the overhang that was added to it also. And then page 97 is the interior, and that picture you're looking at there is a proposed kitchenette. You can see all the plumbing installed on the floor on the left side of it, and a new exterior side door. And page 98, you can see the new bathroom, shower installed, and toilet, and tankless heater on the wall. And then 99, you can see the new sink, bathroom sink, and light fixtures and electrical. And page 100, you can see the front half of the building with, it's all living space with a ceiling fan, new drywall, new ceiling lights, new floor. And then you go to page 101, which is the next one. That's a picture from Google Earth from 2019, the year after it was purchased, what it used to look like. And then you go to 102, and that's the same picture you saw previously of the front of the building. And 103 is the other picture with the raised primary residence and half of the building.
So you made a determination that all of this work in these photographs was done recently, and it was done without a permit.
Yes, sir.
It used to be a garage before it had all this living space in it, correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you happen to be in that garage before it was remodeled like this?
Back in 2015, I believe it was, when the previous owner decided to raise his house, I had a tour of the property at that time. I did not personally go through the garage, but I walked around the garage. It wasn't part of the permit to raise the house, so I didn't pay much attention to it, but I did walk around it.
Okay. All right, I need you to turn to what I've got marked as page 105 of 188, which is the Affidavit of Service. Is this the document that reflects that the notice of hearing was provided to the property owner by regular mail and certified mail, and the notice of hearing was posted on the property?
Yes,
Okay. And that was done by whom?
myself,
Okay.
the posting.
All right, and the statement of violation and request for hearing on page 107 and 108,
Yes,
that was mailed on July 22nd?
yes,
Okay. And the notice of hearing itself for today's hearing, you recognize that on page 109 through 111?
yes.
Okay. If you could turn to page 112, it looks like some envelopes. Can you explain to us what those are?
Those are the envelopes, certified mail return with the postage dates on them from the property, or I'm sorry, to the property.
All right, and the next two pages are photographs. Can you explain to us what those two photographs depict?
Sure. The next page, which is a picture of the front with the posting on it, close-up of the posting, which I did, and the following picture is set back a little bit, same posting and house, but set back a little bit.
All right. This violation obviously is for failure to obtain a building permit. Would you know if a building permit was applied for this type of work?
Yes,
Okay. Has there been a building permit pulled for any of the work that you've discussed today?
Yes,
Okay, and what building permit was applied for?
it was the pavers.
Okay, and was there a permit applied for the roof extension or the garage remodel?
No,
Okay, so is the property still in non-compliance of the code section that was cited?
yes.
All right. What would it take to bring the property into compliance? How much time do you think it would be to apply for and obtain a building permit for this work if it's possible?
Less than 30 days.
Okay. And would the city be able to issue a building permit for the work that has been done in the garage, for example?
No.
Okay, and the reasons why?
The reasons why, we sat down and had a meeting last week, and the reason why is because of the FEMA 50% rule. A lot of the work that was done there it's a separate structure, and it's not allowed per FEMA.
Okay, so even though they pulled a permit, they would never be able to get a permit, so what would they have to do to bring the property into compliance?
They'd have to go back and make it a garage.
Okay, so that would mean remove all of the fixtures on the inside?
Yes, remove all the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing on the inside, and the exterior, you'd have to remove the doors and put the garage doors back. The minimum required for a garage would be the garage doors themselves and receptacles, 120-volt receptacles inside, and minimal light on the outside.
Okay. But he would still have to, the property owner would still have to have a roof permit, though, correct? For
Yes.
the garage? Okay. All right. Anything else that you wanted to add before we close your testimony today? Did I miss anything?
No, we had a discussion about this last week, and the roof, as you mentioned, and the siding can stay on the garage, but the rest of it would have to be taken out.
Okay. All right. I would tender into evidence pages 75 through 114, it looks like, as the city's exhibit number 1, and I don't have any other questions for Mr. DeSantis.
All right, I'll go ahead and accept in as exhibit number 1, pages 75 through 114. And Mr. DeSantis, just a couple technical questions. Does this work appear to be the type of work that would cost more than $500?
Definitely, yes.
And is this work that would be strictly of a cosmetic nature?
Yes and no. Yes, cosmetic, but a lot of the plumbing underground and in the walls, electrical, that's not so much cosmetic.
Gotcha. And you testified you were out there on the property, I think, in 2014. Was there any evidence that this was being used as some kind of a pertinent residential structure in 2014?
I didn't see it as a residential structure in 2014.
All right. Okay, that's all I have. Mr. Lavender, you can come forward. This is your opportunity to ask questions of Mr. DeSantis based upon his testimony. Again, I'm going to give you a chance to tell me anything you want to tell me, but this is just to cross-examine or ask questions of Mr. DeSantis.
Okay. So, Mr. DeSantis, and forgive me not remembering all the dates, but my recollection is that you first contacted us early part of this year, and you brought up to our attention the violations. Subsequently, you met with my wife on site, right? We invited you over, we showed you through the property, didn't try to hide anything or cover anything up, at which point we applied for a permit. And I'm guessing that was somewhere in the January, February timeline. I don't remember the exact date because I didn't keep a copy of it, but we made that application as requested.
Yes.
Yes? Okay. So we made the application, and then we continued to call and write the city yourself, asking for updates. I have an email here, and I brought copies for whoever might need it as well. Back in email, this was dated March 2nd to you, referencing that we met at our house, and do you have any updates on the status of the permit application? And you did write back and told me that it was with the planning department, and that you'll contact them and see what they could do to to expedite this, or something to that effect?
Yes.
Okay. After that point, the only contact, we contacted the planning department, did not hear back until Ms. Roby contacted us, and I believe it was, look at the exact date, I believe it was the letter that she wrote, or the email that she wrote on March 31st. Let me see, does that right now? I'm looking at for the exact dates. On April 8th was the next contact that I heard back from the city. Yes?
I can't speak for her return.
But, or from yourself at least?
Nothing from me, no.
Okay, right. So we applied for a permit February-ish, didn't hear back until April. So Ms. Roby, she emailed us, which we replied to the same day or the next day. And that, I've never heard from you again, except for you posting notices. So I emailed you, asked you to call, I told you that. We applied for building permits. You didn't give us any response to that. So I emailed you on April, no, you emailed on April 6th, we responded on April 8th, so 2 days later. I did my best to address all your concerns, told you that we had made applications, and asked you to call us to discuss it, and we never heard from you. So after that point, I contacted you again on July 6th, I believe, then again on July 19th, then again on the 24th, none of which you responded or replied to.
Was there a question there?
Hold on a second, please don't.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, the question is, in addition to that, my wife came down to the building department, asked to speak to you, left a message, never heard back from you. So the question is, in my opinion, we tried to be good stewards of the community. We did our best to respond to Mr. DeSantis. We filed the applications. You continue to post notices, emailing them and then posting something on my lawn without the courtesy of even returning a phone call or an email to continue or have the conversation to understand what we could do to come into compliance. Yes?
Please don't respond to that question. You're not being asked questions. Mr. DeSantis is currently being cross-examined.
I thought you said I could ask her questions.
No, he did not. And I would object to the questions.
No, this is questions for Mr. DeSantis. You want to ask
Well,
Mr.
she stepped
DeSantis?
up to the podium, and okay.
I understand that. You're asking Mr. DeSantis
So,
questions.
Mr. DeSantis, is anything to the best of your knowledge untrue for what I just stated?
Can you rephrase that? Or can you, I'm sorry, can
The
you repeat the question?
timeline,
Yeah.
well, I just represented to you a timeline of my attempts to communicate with a city official to come into compliance or to understand my position into coming to compliance. And I have emails here, and you have those emails. I've copied you on a lot of those. Is anything what I said there to be untrue?
Anything in the emails to be untrue?
No, anything that I just stated, the timeline that I just represented to you, and my multiple attempts to contact the city, is any of that untrue?
As far as the emails on the page, yes, it's true. But again, I can't speak for planning and zoning, completely different department.
Okay. And I did reach out to Mr. DeSantis after not hearing back from Ms. Roby, and I asked for a meeting, and the very day that I got the notice, and you were able to meet with me this past Friday.
Yes,
Yes? So would you agree, from early this year up until this past Friday, I've made multiple attempts to try to communicate with the city and understand my position and to get some guidance from the city of Madeira Beach?
I can't speak for all that. All I can speak for is what you sent to me.
Okay. Would you agree that, in your opinion, that I've tried to be a good member of the community and to try to understand how to bring this property into compliance?
From what I noticed in the past several weeks, yes. But I haven't spoke to you since day one.
But I have forwarded you the emails that have I not forwarded you the emails of my attempt to communicate with Ms. Roby?
I see 2 emails here.
Well, you have a string of them. I have them here that I can show you if you'd like.
Okay,
Because I forwarded you those emails. You were copied on the one on April 8th directly, and I forwarded to you the email attempts to contact Ms. Roby. Would you like a copy of them?
Mr. Lavender, if it helps, I have copies of several of the emails here.
Okay.
I've reviewed them. I think I understand the point you're making is that you've been trying to communicate with the city about trying to bring the property in compliance. So I understand where you're going with these questions. I'm not cutting you off.
No, I
You can
appreciate
continue to
that.
ask. But I get where you're going with all this. I understand what you're saying.
So let me think about my next statement.
And
Listen,
again, this is just questions for
No,
Mr.
I-
DeSantis.
yeah,
I'm going to
and
give you
no,
a full
I'm-
opportunity
yep,
to tell me anything you want to tell me.
No, listen, we did the work without a permit, and not understanding that we needed a permit, and Mr. DeSantis brought it to our attention, and we've tried to resolve this in an amicable way as best we can, or at least understand what we were permitted or not permitted to do. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
That's all the questions I have for Mr. DeSantis.
All right, thank you, sir. You can have a seat. Mr. Trask, who would you like to call next?
I'd like to call Ms. Rowan. I have a few questions for her. Sorry, Jenny.
All right, go ahead.
So, Ms. Rowan, are you familiar with this particular code enforcement case?
Yes, I was brought in around April on this. We had a previous planner who was doing the review of this code violation, and they resigned, so I took over to review it with Linda Portel, the Community Development Director.
Okay.
So both of us have.
So your
looked at
first
this.
involvement was approximately April? Okay.
Yes.
So have you had the opportunity to review the photographs and the work that's been done on the property?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And you understand that it looks like the garage has been converted to living space?
Yes.
And is that authorized under the city code?
No, it is not.
Okay. Can you explain to the special magistrate why it is not?
So there are a few different reasons. Number one would be the zoning reason, which is this property is located in R2 zoning district. They can have a duplex, they can have a single-family duplex, triplex, or townhouse type construction. This has, as you can see in the photos, this could be a living unit with a kitchenette or a possible kitchenette, a bathroom. That's more of the building code side of things, where this is considered a dwelling unit. So currently, how we see it is there are two separate single-family homes on the property, which is not allowed in our zoning district. I believe they have enough room for a duplex. It used to be two lots that are combined. So I believe that they have enough room for a duplex, but duplexes in our code, in the definition section, I believe it's 82-2, a duplex has to have a common vertical wall, which this does not. This structure used to be a unfinished garage. I'm unsure when they converted the garage into what you see now. I believe from discussions with Mr. Lavender and Miss Lavender on Friday, that when they purchased the property, it was already converted. We saw photos from Zillow that are not in the packet. So they were doing updates that still required a permit that they did not apply for or receive. But this garage could not be converted as a dwelling unit and have plumbing and a possible kitchenette in it.
All right, thank you. I have no other questions for Ms. Rowan.
All right, sir, you'd like to come up and ask Ms. Rowan any questions? Again, this is just about the testimony that she gave.
So, Mr. Rowan, would you agree that when we met last Friday, that we reviewed those pictures on Zillow, and it clearly represented that there was a bathroom in place going back many years, as well as finished interior walls, electrical, plumbing, ceilings, windows, doors, et cetera?
Yes.
Okay. And I heard you say that you're considering this to be a dwelling unit. Have I at any time represented that I was planning to use it as a dwelling unit? Did I believe that I stated that the intent of it is to be used for storage?
That is correct. When we spoke on Friday, you didn't say that you intended to use it as storage, but since it has a bathroom and then a possible connection for kitchenette and air conditioning, that is what, on the building side of things, classifies it as a dwelling unit.
So is there air conditioning in there today?
No, but as Mr. DeSantis pointed out, that there is a conduit that air conditioning could be.
Could be, but is not there
Yes.
today.
Currently, no. And based on the Zillow photos that we looked at together, there used to be a window unit, I believe.
Yep, there's a window.
But there isn't. And I haven't visited the property myself, but based on the photos, I do not see any window units.
Okay, so the assumption is that we're intending to use it as a living or a dwelling unit as opposed to a finished storage space.
In the building code, what constitute as a dwelling unit, and Mr. DeSantis could speak to this better than I could, but this would constitute a dwelling unit since there is connection for a kitchenette and bathroom. But this is more on the building side of things. But as for zoning, there cannot be two separate dwelling units.
Is it possible to connect the walls vertically in order to make it a legalized unit, if that's what I wanted to do?
I believe it would have to be raised since your other structure is raised. Let me open up give me just a minute. So duplex in our definition of code, which is section 82-2, duplex means two dwelling units contained in one structure on a single lot or parcel and attached by a common vertical wall. We could discuss you building onto your current single-family home to turn it into a duplex and see if you have enough lot area to allow for a duplex. It's something that I have not researched in full, but I believe you potentially have enough room on your lot to create a duplex. But it would have to have a common vertical wall with your other structure.
And have we had the opportunity to have any of these conversations before today?
On Friday, we discussed not specifically turning that into a duplex, but possibly splitting the lot and having two single-family homes. But this would also create a nonconformity since the structure looks to be very close to the separating line of what used to be the two lots.
So I guess my point is that, on Friday, we attempted to begin conversations on trying to find possible solutions,
That is correct.
which we had not had the opportunity to do before.
That is correct.
Okay. And I do have a question. I don't know whether it would be for you, Mr. DeSantis, there was a question about the garage doors. I don't know if that's something you can answer.
That might be more of Mr. DeSantis. So how we see the structure, there was never a permit to change the unfinished garage into living space or to its current conditions, even by the previous owner, which we discussed. So to return this, there's a few options that we discussed on Friday. But one is to return the finished building to a garage, meaning removing the finished bathrooms, removing the electrical panel, and then replacing the doors with a door that can accommodate a vehicle, removing any air conditioning, which I believe you do not have at this time, and then demo the walls, partitioning the garage into separate rooms. That's one of the options.
So is there anything in the code that does not allow me to that will allow me to keep finished walls as opposed to unfinished walls?
It would have to be unfinished walls since the garage in the Pinellas County Property Appraiser states that it is unfinished garage. And we have never received any permits to change that. And correct.
I've got a question around the door that you just mentioned. So it needs to accommodate to be able to get a motor vehicle through the door, correct?
Yes.
So would you agree that a motorcycle is a motor vehicle and could go through those doors?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. I don't have any other questions.
Mr. Trask, any redirect or anything you want to ask? Mr.
No
Moore?
redirect?
All right. Any other witnesses you'd like to call?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir. Okay, Mr. Lavender, we're finally to the part of the hearing where you can tell me directly anything you want to tell me. You can share with me any documents you would like to share with me and put into evidence or anything like that. And you can call any witnesses that you'd like to call on your behalf as well. So what would you like to tell me?
So what I'd like to tell you is that I'm not really prepared to find a solution today because I haven't been given the opportunity to engage in dialogue since the beginning of this year until this past Friday. So although I received the notices, and I just received it on the 22nd, I believe, but I had emailed Ms. Roby on the 19th. So, I mean, I gave her the opportunity to engage in dialogue before posting that notice so it wouldn't go into code compliance. I don't really know why we're here in code compliance because I made an application as requested and I've never been given an answer on that application. So up until this past Friday, I didn't know what I can and couldn't do, still don't know. I have to engage legal counsel, I have to speak with architects, I have to speak with FEMA appraisers, and I just, I don't know how we can even have an answer on what I can and can't do based upon the fact that I have tried to communicate, was not given the opportunity to, and not given the opportunity to try to find remedies or folks or consultants to help me understand what I can and can't do in order to even, is the right decision to make the application for a duplex? Is it the right decision to tear it out? I don't know what to do just because, honestly, I feel that I've been ignored for months and months and months after multiple attempts. And I just feel that we've been treated unfairly by the city. And I seek more time to engage in people who can better guide me.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any other documents that you'd like to show me?
Yeah, I just have the emails that I had emailed with, some of the emails that I emailed to Ms. Roby and Mr. DeSantis.
I'm happy to look at them, just show them to Mr. Trask first, the city attorney.
Yep.
Thank you.
L's, by the way, were the answers to her questions. So that's a circled dates and L's are just my responses.
I have no objection to being received.
Do you just want me to look at these, or would you like me to attach them as an exhibit to the record today? All right, I'll go ahead and do that. So give me a moment just to look at them first, sir, and give me one moment, because I know I've seen some of these emails, I think, before, because I was following along when you were asking questions. So give me one moment. All right, sir, I've reviewed these emails, and I will go ahead and make them exhibit number 2 in this case. Give me one moment. Is there anything else you'd like to tell me to consider today?
Yeah, the only thing I'd like to say in addition to is, I've always, and I stand before everybody today, once again, wanting to be a good neighbor. We've invested a lot of time, a lot of money to taken, well, it was an old beaten termite-infested house and turned it to what I think is a great example of what the neighborhood should be, including the storage space that was a former garage converted to a living space by, my understanding, some years back. And we did show photos to Mr. DeSantis and Ms. Rowan last week, showing that we have photographs or evidence that it had been finished years back. And, we would like consideration or to understand the ability to how that would be grandfathered in, before we tackle, any of the FEMA questions. Because we bought it as such, my understanding from the prior owner as well as neighbors, that had been converted to use as a living unit for years and years and years. And predated, any of the current building codes or zoning codes that are in place. And I just like serious consideration on how to try to, do that, if possible.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Trask, do you have any questions for the owner?
I've got a couple of questions, sir. What relation are you to Bernard Scott LLC?
I own the LLC, my wife and I.
Okay, so you and your wife are the principals of that limited liability company?
Yes.
Okay. Are you a general contractor?
No.
Okay. Were you the one that did all the work on this property?
Myself along with friends,
Okay. Do you live at the property?
part-time,
Okay. Do you have a home located somewhere else?
yes. In Tampa.
Okay. Where's your home located?
608 West Osborne Avenue in Tampa.
Okay. All right. Could you pull up, Frank, could you pull up the photographs? I've got some questions for you. Starting with the photograph relative to the electrical panel on the side of the house, or the side of the garage, whatever we want to call it. I'm going to call it the garage, you can call it a house, the house. I'm going to use the garage because that's easier for me to ask your questions about it. So this first photograph, this siding on this garage, it's hardy board siding?
Yep.
You installed that, correct?
Yes.
You need to respond audibly so we can get it on the tape.
Yes.
Okay. As for the electrical panel, did you install that?
I had a friend do it that I was there on site when they were doing the work.
Okay. Was he an electrical contractor?
Yes.
Okay. Is he licensed to? Okay. Can you get closer to the microphone? Because we're.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So if we could turn then to the photograph depicting the side of the garage where it shows the roof extension. All right, sir, if you could take a look at this photograph then. There was a new roof put on this garage, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And this roof extension was also included when the expansion occurred, correct?
When the extension of the roof was done, yes.
All right. And you were the one that did that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you were the one that added the windows in this side view of this garage, correct?
I replaced existing windows that were there, correct?
Okay. And you replaced the garage door with the French doors, correct?
Yes,
Okay. So when you bought the property, the garage door was still there?
yes.
Okay. And what was in the garage when you purchased it? Was there a kitchen?
There was not a kitchen.
Okay.
There was the utilities there for a kitchen, there was the plumbing, there was the electric, the same thing with the bath, there was a finished bathroom there.
Okay. So there was no kitchen sink?
Just the rough plumbing for it, which is what you see there today.
All right. In the bathroom, there was no toilet?
There was a toilet.
When you purchased it, there was a
Yes, sir.
toilet there?
Yep, and Ms. Rowan saw pictures of that, yes.
Okay. And the electric water heater above the toilet, was that there, or did you add that?
I added that. I added that.
Okay.
There was hot water being fed from the house through underground pipes.
Now, when you say you added it, did you have a licensed plumber do that, or was that you that did that?
That was me who did that.
And the shower stall in the photograph, if you could change to that photograph, please, the bathroom?
Yep, there was a shower there before, and we refinished it,
Okay.
including the hot and cold water, as well as the waste pipes.
Okay.
And if you'd like to ask about the floor, I put the floor in as well.
Okay, thank you. If we could turn to the Google picture of the outside of the unit. All right. This Google map, January 2019, this is what it looked like when you purchased the property, correct?
On the outside of the building, yes.
Okay.
But I'd like to say that I also showed on the pictures on Friday that the door had been secured shut and finished over on the inside. So it was not an operating garage door.
Okay. And then the photograph relative to the paving, were you the, if you could turn to that, please? Were you the person that installed the paving?
Yes, yeah, but there were paving, there were approximately 18 by 18-inch paving stones under the entire house to about probably midway through the deck was. And so I replaced that with newer stones and extended it to the shell driveway.
Okay. Have you ever renovated a home like this before?
Yes,
Okay. How many times have you done that?
30 times, 40 times.
Okay. And how many times did you do the work without pulling a building permit?
The only time I've ever done work without a permit is when I thought that I was within legal rights to do so.
Okay. Did you ask the city whether or not you needed a permit for any of this work that you
I
did?
did not know.
Okay. And you've done this 30 times before?
Yes.
Okay.
And my degree is in architecture. I've spent the last 35 years in construction, so I've been around the house or two.
Okay, so that, your area of expertise, then you,
Is construction.
okay. And what construction jobs have you held in the past? Are you like a supervisor or a job site foreman
Done
or?
all of the above. My
Okay.
last 20 years was managing construction for Dunkin' Donuts and Baskin Robbins.
Okay. So when you were working for them, do you still work for them?
No.
Okay. You pulled building permits for all the work that
For
you
work
did for
that,
them?
for work that I thought I required to pull a permit for, yes.
Okay.
And the reason why, I mean, I know the question you're asking is why I didn't pull a permit for this.
Yes, sir.
So my understanding, this was an unoccupied space, continues, I'm not planning to use it as an occupied space. It's a finished storage building. And I thought I was within rights to replace the door and the windows and do minor work without pulling a permit.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I don't have any other questions of Mr. Lavender.
Yeah, Mr. Lavender, I just want to understand, because I was trying to squint my eyes at the same time. I think it's page 95. Can you put that up there? It's the one of the circuit breaker box. That one right there. Will you blow that up? Because the listings, and I understand you were there when this was put up, doesn't seem consistent with me with storage. So are you telling me that this is going to be some kind of storage shed?
Yes, like a she shed.
Where
keep
you're
my
going to store a
camper-
motorcycle in it or something like
I
that?
might
That's-
choose to do that, yes. No.
Okay, and that's what your defense here is, that this is a storage shed?
Yes, correct. Yeah, with a pre-existing bathroom that I refinished that was in place, with electric to it and plumbing to it, that, yes, I upgraded it or tried my best to bring it to what I thought was code. And if there's something not to code, I'll certainly, I don't object to, I'm not wanting to do anything not to code. So if I've made mistakes, I'm certainly happy to correct those. As
Okay,
far as
so,
the-
I got it. So I just want to make sure, on the occupancy issue, your defense in this one is, this is a storage shed for a motorcycle if you so choose to do it, right?
And closed stores, which is what, the idea behind it, the air conditioning in the future was, when we retired to maybe the Carolinas, to kind of use this as a winter, go back and forth, keep our winter, summer clothes in a conditioned space. In my house, which Mr. DeSantis knows, it's a rather small house where I have one clothes closet. There's very little room, and the intent was to put, some racks in there, some closet, shelving, and just create storage space.
Gotcha. But for the roof, the plumbing, the electrical, you didn't pull any permits for any of that, correct?
Well, I applied for permits after the fact.
Gotcha, okay. But you didn't obtain any?
Did not obtain. No.
Okay. Thank you, sir. That's all I had. Mr. Trask, do you have anything?
No, sir. Nothing else?
All right. Thank you. Mr. Lavender, anything else you would like me to consider?
No, sir.
All right. At this point in the proceeding, we will go ahead and solicit any public comment. If there's any members of the public who would like to come forward and comment on this particular code violation, this is now your opportunity to come forward. Let the record reflect, there are no members of the public coming forward, so we'll go ahead and close public comment. Mr. Trask, anything else you'd like to share with me? And what is, I may have missed it or just not written it down, what is the proposed fine the city would like if the property is not brought into compliance by whatever deadline if I find there's a violation?
So the city is asking that you establish a compliance date of 30 days from now, and that should the property owner fail to come into compliance within that period of time, that $100 a day fine would be assessed.
All right, thank you. Anything else, Mr. Trask?
No, sir.
All right. Based upon the preponderance of the evidence, I do find there's a violation. There's been unpermitted work that is done on this property, and it's not in violation, or it is in violation, and because a permit has not been obtained. I understand your argument, sir, so instead of 30 days, I'm going to give you more time. I'm going to give you 60 days to come into compliance, and compliance will be either obtaining an after-the-fact building permit or removing the unpermitted work. Now, I'll say this to you, sir, I'm here every 30 days, and when I sign my order, I retain jurisdiction. So if we get to that, into that 60 days, and you believe you have good cause for an extension of the compliance deadline, then ask the city to be put on the agenda before me, and I'll consider that, okay? So 60 days, if the property's not brought into compliance by either obtaining a building permit or removing the unpermitted work, then there'll be a fine of $100 a day that begins to accrue. All right, that concludes case number 2022.3387. All right, the next case on the agenda is case number 2022.3443. I notice, Mr. Trask, the next three cases have different case numbers, but they're all for the same property at 431 Virginia Avenue.
Correct.
Do you want to proceed each one separately, or do you want to consolidate them for purposes of the hearing, but I'll issue a separate order in each case?
The latter. I think that we could save some time. I just want to make sure that we have three separate orders, whether it's finding the violation or not, because of the significance of the violations that are occurring.
All right, then what we'll do is I'll go ahead and call them, and for purposes of taking evidence and everything like that, we'll consolidate the three. However, I will treat them as separate and issue separate orders in each case. So we'll also call case number 2022.3444 at 431 Virginia Avenue, and case number 2022.3445 at 431 Virginia Avenue. As I stated, these cases will be brought before me today on a consolidated basis for purposes of eliciting testimony and evidence. However, I will treat them separately for purposes of any orders that are issued. Go ahead, Mr. Trask.
Thank you. I would call Mr. DeSantis as the city's witness. Mr. DeSantis, you're familiar with this property, 431 Virginia Avenue, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and how did this property come to your attention?
There was a code violation on a shower unit that was installed on the outside exterior, and I was doing a follow-up on that, and I found other code violations.
Okay, so let's start with that then. When this was brought to your attention, did you determine who the property owner was, and how did you determine that?
Yes, and I determined that from the county property appraisers.
Okay, if you could look to item or page 115 and through 117, is that the property appraiser printout for this property at 431 Virginia Avenue?
Yes, it is.
And it shows that the property owner is Nazari Avanchuk?
Yes.
Okay. And is that also reflected in the tax collector records, which are on page 118 and 119 of the packet?
Yes.
Okay. So when you went out to the property, what exactly did you find when you went out to the property?
Well, when I went out to the property, I was looking at the exterior shower unit, and in front of me was four different AC units that were installed without permits, brand new AC units. And then in the back of the property, there was a roof covering that was just recently installed within 2 weeks of when I was there, because the property owner's brother told me that. And after looking at it further, there was an addition built on the back of the house without permit.
Okay. And so when you say you were out there, who exactly did you talk? Well, first of all, did you have consent to go on the property to take a look at it?
Yes.
Okay, and who gave you that consent?
The brother-in-law that was there babysitting their young child at the time, the homeowner was out of the country.
Okay. And when you talked to him, did the two of you walk around the property, the whole entire property?
Yes, sir, we
Okay.
did.
And did you have discussions with him about the four air conditioner units that were added and the roof overhang and the addition that was placed on the property?
Yes, I did. He was the one that told me, because I asked him, I said, this new roof overhang, this looks brand new. He said, yeah, we just did that 2 weeks ago. Well, they had a stop work order posted on the house. He just got done telling me they did that 2 weeks ago.
Okay. So the stop work order was on the property before he actually did the roof?
Yes,
Okay. And why was the stop work order on the property?
because of the plumbing
Okay.
shower unit.
Okay, so I'm going to jump back and forth because I think that while we're talking about it, let's just talk about the photographs first of all. If you could look at page 122 of the exhibits, is this the photograph of the four air conditioner units?
Yes.
122,
Yes,
okay. And did you add the yellow arrows to the photograph to point out where the air conditioners were?
I believe Holden did.
Okay. And what is the reason why there's four air conditioner units on this particular property versus one?
I don't know. All I can say is maybe they were on sale. I don't know.
Okay. All right. So, in looking at this photograph, it looks like there are some 2x4s in the far distance of this photograph. Is that the shower that was brought to your attention?
Yes, it was framed out on the exterior wall with the
Okay.
2x4s.
So this was going to be an exterior shower for like getting out of a swimming pool or whatever to get rinsed off?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So the four air conditioner units. And I'm going to come back again to these other exhibits, but I'd like to get to the other photographs so that we can get them all in at the same time. If you could turn to page 145. Perfect. I think that that's the one you've got. Yes. All right. What does this photograph depict? Is it, first of all, this is the same property, correct? 431 Virginia Avenue?
I'm sorry, give me a second.
Okay.
145, yes. You want to know what it depicts?
Yes.
That's a picture of the back corner. As you can see where that wood is on the side of the house, that's the shower unit that was installed, and that's the large overhang. I don't remember the size of it off the top of my head, but that was the overhang and the downspouts and gutters that was recently installed.
Okay, so the overhang, you're referring to the roof
Yes,
from the building itself all the way out to those three posts on the left of the photograph?
yes, sir.
Okay. All right. And again, we're going to skip a little bit to get more the other photographs in. And then we're going to come back to the documents. All right, I'd like you to turn to page 169. What is this photograph?
69. Oh, that's a overhead view of the property, the structure.
Okay, it is showing a yellow box. Can you explain to what the designation of the yellow box is for?
The designation of the yellow box shows that there was no previous roof there, and it also shows the property appraisers that the house had an addition. There was no addition there at the time, but it shows the house had an addition put on.
Okay, so what is in the yellow box?
Well, there's nothing in the yellow box right now. There should be a roof in there, though.
Okay.
That's a previous picture.
Okay. All right, so then let's turn to page 170.
70,
And there's another yellow box.
yes.
And what does this photograph depict?
That yellow box shows the addition. If you look on the left of that, the tall roof, that's the back wall of the garage. And the county property appraiser's records show there was a indent from the garage all the way over to where the shower was. That section right there was added on without a permit.
So it's now, instead of an L-shaped building, and now it's a square-shaped building?
Yes, sir.
It's been filled in inside that yellow box?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
And then page 171, is that just a different angle of the same addition?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So those are the three code violations then, right? Air conditioner units without a permit, roof without a permit, building addition without a permit.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So have you had the opportunity to review the documents that are shown starting on page 115 all the way to 188?
Yes.
Okay. And let's just go through them so that, and we're going to do it very quickly. You've already talked about the tax collector and property appraiser's records. That's through page 119. We're going to start then about courtesy notices, starting at page 120. This courtesy notice of violation was sent to the property owner, giving the property owner until March 4th to come into compliance with regard to the mechanical work or the air conditioning systems, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did the property owner come into compliance by that date?
No.
Okay. If you could then turn to 123, starting at 123, the notice of code violation, March 7th, 2022. This was telling the property owner to bring the property into compliance by getting a building permit for the mechanical work again, giving them until March 23rd to bring it into compliance.
Yes.
Did they do it?
No.
Okay. I'm going to stop asking you that question for the rest of them. Just for clarity's sake, there were no permits for any of this work even as of today that were issued, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so let's go back to page 126. The green card and the letter, that was sent to the property owner at the address 431 Virginia Avenue. It looks like it was on page 127, the green card was signed and returned to the city?
Yes.
Okay. Have you had any conversations with the property owner or the tenant that's at the property since the code violation notices were sent out?
No, sir.
Okay. If you could turn to page 128, the statement of violation request for hearing, that was sent out by Mr. Pinkard,
Yes.
okay? And then the notice of hearing followed, that was also sent, page 130 through 132, also sent out by Mr. Pinkard,
Yes, sir.
okay? And the affidavit of service, showing the mailing and the certified mailing and the posting of the property. Mr. Pinkard also signed that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And if you could turn then to the page that follows 134, I guess it'd be 135 and 136. Does that show that the property was posted?
Yes, sir, I did that.
Okay. And looks like there are three different notices. Are there one notice for each of the cases that we're here on today?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When you were posting that on the property, nobody came out and spoke to you?
No, sir.
Okay. Then as for the other information in the packet relative to the tax collector and property appraiser, that's the same when we get into the next case relative to the patio cover, the roofing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then the notice of courtesy notice and so forth for that, these were all done on the same date or the same timeframes, correct? All three of these cases, the same courtesy notices, the same code violation notice, the same notices of hearing and that type of thing, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So not going to go through each and every one of these from now on, but you've had the opportunity to review the entire packet, and you can testify that these are business records of the city, they're kept, and you're familiar with the issuance of each one of these letters and notices and the photographs in the packet, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When was the last time that you were out to the property to determine whether the property was in compliance?
Honestly, I can't remember the date. I did that walkthrough with the brother-in-law. I don't remember the date off the top of my head.
Okay, did you check the city's records to determine whether or not an application has been received for any of these?
Yes.
Okay, and when did you do that?
As soon as I got back, that's the first thing I did.
Okay.
Back to the office.
Okay, when, on that particular day?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And how long has that been?
I'm sorry, I don't know the date off the top of my head.
Okay. But as of today, the property is not in compliance.
Yes, sir.
That's correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, I don't have any other questions of Mr. DeSantis. I don't know if I'd like to tender into evidence the documents that were in the agenda packet, pages 115 through 188. That would include three cases. 115 through 137 is the first case, 138 through 161 is the second case, and 162 through 188 is the third case.
All right, I'll go ahead and accept into evidence Exhibit Number 1 and Case Number 2022.3443 as pages 115 through 137. Also, I'll accept into evidence as Exhibit Number 1 and Case Number 2022.3444, which will be pages 138 through 161. And then I'll accept into evidence as Exhibit Number 1 case number 2022.3445, pages 162 through the end, which is 188. Mr. DeSantis, with all this work, what do you think is appropriate for compliance deadline and also fine in each case, or is it different? In other words, are there some health, safety, welfare things that you're concerned about in a certain case that would warrant a higher daily fine proposed than others?
The county property appraiser and myself went out to visit the site, and we're more worried about the addition that was put on as far as health and life safety concerns. I have no clue what they did inside, and they won't let us inside.
All right, so let's talk about, let's just address them separately then. So for number 1, or the first case on the docket, 2022.3443, I understand that the corrective action is that the property owner or licensed contractor will need to apply for and obtain an after-the-fact building permit for the mechanical work that was done on the property, which appears to be air conditioners, correct?
Yes, sir.
What is your testimony as to how much time the applicant needs for that work?
Less than 30 days.
All right, I'll give them 30 days, and if they don't do it within 30 days, what would you propose is the appropriate daily fine thereafter?
Like, it's $100 a day.
Okay, let's go to the next one, which is case number 2022.3444, and I understand this one deals with the awning and patio covered, which they'll either need to obtain the after-the-fact building permit or remove that structure. Is that correct on the corrective action?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then how many days for compliance on that case?
Again, 30 days. It's more than enough.
Okay. What about the daily fine on that one?
Same thing, $100.
All right, and then the third case, 2022.3445, I understand the corrective action on that one deals with the addition that has been built at the property without required building permits, and the corrective action would be to obtain an after-the-fact building permit, or if a permit cannot be obtained, then the unpermitted construction must be removed. How many days on that one?
As far as, I'll probably say 30 days to obtain a permit.
And how about the fine on that one if it's not brought into compliance?
I think that's more severe. I'd go $250.
Okay. Mr. Trask, I know I asked a lot of questions of your witness there, so is there anything you'd like to address with Mr. DeSantis?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Trask, any other witnesses?
No, sir.
All right, I find by preponderance of the evidence that there have been all of the violations set forth in all three cases. Based upon Mr. DeSantis's experience, expertise, and personal observations, I'm going to go ahead and determine that in case number 2022.3443, there has been a violation. The owner will have 30 days to come into compliance. If the owner is not in compliance into 30 days, there'll be a $100 a day fine. In regard to case number 2022.3444, find the owner is in violation of the code provision set forth in that particular case. I'm going to give the owner 30 days to come into compliance, otherwise there'll be a $100 a day fine. In regard to case number 2022.3445, I find there is a violation of the code provision set forth in that, and the corrective action is what Mr. DeSantis testified to in regard to my comments. I will issue, I'll give the owner 30 days to come into compliance due to the fact that there are potential health safety issues going on in that particular case. I believe it's appropriate to have a $250 a day fine for that. As we talked about before, I will go ahead and issue 3 separate orders. I just want to make sure that the address we're using for the owner is the same as the property address. It's the 431 Virginia Avenue, Madeira Beach. Is that the order, is that the address the city wants me to use for sending the orders?
I think the answer is yes. I just want to make sure that the city doesn't have any other addresses for this individual, correct?
I know I have an email and a phone number. I
Can-
don't know, I've tried calling the phone and it just rings without a voice message, but we do have an email address.
All right, Mr. Pinker, I just feel comfortable by making sure this owner has notice. Once the hearing's concluded, if you can give me that email address, I'll write it down, and I'll serve the order both by regular U.S. mail as well as email
Thank you.
on the owner. All right, anything else, Mr. Trask, on any of these 3 cases?
No, thank you.
All right, anything else at all from the city today on the code enforcement agenda?
No, sir.
That concludes today's hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you.